Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be comparing the Toyota Land Cruiser to the new Honda Passport to see which SUV you should go for. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Large Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with the Land Cruiser, and then to the Large Miller Honda here in Murray for giving me some time with the Passport. Link to both their websites in the description down below. Link to my car buying guide as well. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Passport is a 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 18 around town, 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now under the hood of the Land Cruiser is a turbo hybrid 2.4 liter four-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the Passport, very boxy with the design. I mean, look at the rectangular-ish headlights, right? Trailsport logo, which is really cool looking. Got beefy recovery points there. But yeah, it definitely looks like a rugged off-roader. And the Land Cruiser also has that kind of rugged off-roader look. Now this is a 1958, which is the base. That's why the whole bottom section is unpainted. But it does have recovery points. They're just down low. So yeah, both of them have that boxy off-roader look. And it's crazy to see just how big that Passport is because it's pretty similar in size to the Land Cruiser. Now this is the Trailsport package of the Passport. So it's got these pretty aggressive all-terrain tires. As you can see, it looks like they're about 31 inches tall, roughly. And then with the Land Cruiser, we've got 32s from the factory. I have 33s on mine. You can fit with stock suspension just fine. So you can definitely fit a much bigger tire on the Land Cruiser. Now here's your side profile with the Passport. You can see all that cladding there on the bottom, which gives it that rugged off-roader appearance. And then here's your side profile with the Land Cruiser. Same thing with all the plastic cladding there on the bottom. Now Land Cruiser is a pretty solid cargo area. The battery does raise the loading floor a bit. Got an outlet here in the back, and then you actually have cup holders because in other markets you can get this with a third row, not here in the US though. But yeah, pretty solid storage. I will mention the rear hatch is manual. That little button right there lets you open up the rear glass here with the Land Cruiser. You can see the taillight design there, pretty cool looking. And then again with the plastic bumper there, has that kind of cladded appearance, but there's the rear of the Land Cruiser. Now the Passport is a power hatch at this price point. You can see here we've got the outlet in the back. And the loading floor here is actually relatively high. They do give you a lot of storage underneath, which is a big benefit with the spare tire there. But yeah, that's something I've noticed that's kind of interesting. But yeah, good space overall, and we can actually just press that to lower that down. Pretty cool looking taillight design here with the Passport. And there's them next to each other. So you can see the Land Cruiser does sit a bit higher. Again, it's a truck. It has a solid rear axle. It's body and frame versus the Passport, which is unibody independent suspension. So it's just going to sit lower. And here's a quick look at the legroom here in the back of the Land Cruiser. Got our own climate zone here in the rear. And although these are cloth seats, they're very premium feeling cloth seats, but they are still cloth seats. And then you got a bunch of just plastic trim on the door panel. Vents up top, which is pretty nice. And then good headroom because of the boxy design. Passport also has really good room, and it's comfortable because that unibody design kind of brings everything down. I will say much cooler door panel style wise. And same thing with the seats, kind of just like nicer. There's cloth trim on them, but just nicer in general. And good headroom, again, boxy design. And starting up the Land Cruiser, 1,100 pounds of payload, by the way. But yeah, digital gauge cluster, and this has quite a bit of safety tech. So you've got adaptive cruise control with lane centering. You also have blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Now being a 1958, we're just gonna have a backup camera and Toyota smaller infotainment system. This does have dual zone climate, which is pretty nice. Heated end seats and a heated steering wheel. We've got the USB ports down below, and then you can see the drive mode select here, your ECT second, crawl control as well. Got your parking brake with your auto hold, and then this is pretty cool. So we do have a full-time four-wheel drive system, 2-speed transfer case, a center, and a rear-locking differential. Stability control. This is all standard on the Land Cruiser. And pretty good storage. Nice trim here on the top. And again, these front seats have that same premium cloth trim with them. And then again, no sunroof, but lots of space for the boxy design. And starting up the Passport. Boom, 948 for the payload, by the way. But yeah, just like the Toyota, we've got a digital gauge cluster. You've got adaptive cruise control with lane centering. We've got blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Paddle shifters here on the back of the steering wheel, interestingly enough. And I will say, nice trim, just like the Toyota steering wheel. Just a backup camera. And infotainment system's just as easy to use. Heated seats. You've got dual zone climate with this. Got your charging area here with the wireless phone charging pad. Transmission select, which is interesting. So we don't have selectable lockers or anything in this, but we do have a drive mode select with off-road modes. It has all-wheel drive. And then we've got nice little center console, nice trim on the top, and then a rear view mirror, and then we've got a panoramic sunroof. Now when it comes to pricing, the Land Cruiser stickers for about $60,000 and the Passport stickers for about $51,000. So there's a pretty big price difference. Let's see which one performs the best. Manual seat, man, let us set off. You know what I find hilarious? So body on frame constructed vehicles are actually less expensive to produce than unibody, but the market here in the US values body on frame so much that manufacturers can sell them for more money. It's kind of funny. Now the Passport's going to have a huge uphill battle if it wants to beat the Land Cruiser in terms of driving dynamics. The full-time four-wheel drive system means you always have grip. Toyota's modern steering means it's not annoying to drive this full-time four-wheel drive system car. And this iForce Max, tons of torque. And that is a four-cylinder, so a lot of you will just disqualify it just because of that. But it does have really good power. And the suspension on this, although it is a truck, is pretty darn comfortable. This is getting pretty close to driving car-like. Yeah, the power is great. It just has so much torque. Top end's a little bit lackluster though, I will say that. But it handles really well. Again, for being a truck, this thing just turns great. And it's got so much power. And then over bumps and everything, the Land Cruiser does so well. Again, you feel it a bit, but it doesn't shudder unless you go over like a really big bump. And again, the body and frame isolates you quite a bit, and it stays pretty darn planted for being a solid axle vehicle. Like, it's pretty impressive what Toyota has done here with the driving dynamics, especially when you compare it to the previous gen Toyotas. So this newest Land Cruiser, smaller, right? And that's why a lot of people are comparing it to that Honda Passport. But it has really good driving dynamics for what it is, but it's also $9,000 more expensive than that Honda for a lot less features. So let's go pop into the Passport. Okay, the Honda Passport. So first off, getting in and out's a little bit easier because it's, right, being a unibody SUV, it's just going to be closer to the ground. Some of you might really appreciate that. And it also does, oh, that's that new blue. That's pretty cool looking. It also does handle a little bit better because it's closer to the ground, has independent suspension. Like, it doesn't feel like it. The Land Cruiser actually has pretty minimal body roll for being a truck-based SUV, but this feels like it's pretty solid on the ground. Man, I should have probably tried to go the first time. Now I'm gonna wait for all this traffic. Okay, we should be able to get up and move here. Power! Yeah, that's nice. It's quick. The transmission's pretty slick. So, this is an interesting comparison. I honestly don't think they're comparable, but Google search results show me that they are comparable because a lot of people are looking at this and they're looking at the Land Cruiser and the 4Runner, comparing them against each other. My thoughts, this gives you the looks and you don't concede anything when it comes to car-like driving. This drives like any other unibody crossover. It's comfortable with the suspension, and you know, I'd say being low to the ground, right, it's gonna be a little bit quieter on the highway. You're still gonna get some wind buffeting, but this isn't gonna be too bad. So there's a lot of benefit that way. Basically, if you want a car-like driving experience, but you want the cool off-road SUV looks, that's what this provides. If you want a more dedicated off-roader, the Land Cruiser is still a very nice vehicle to daily drive. I daily drive mine. But it's definitely going to have more of the truck stuff, right? It's not going to handle quite as well. The interior is going to be, everything's going to be pushed up. And yeah, it's more expensive. That's a big thing. Like this, you get way more features for less money. So let me know which one you'd go for.